With just 2, she discovered her amazing millionaire boyfriend was the man she once rejected. Emma stood behind the counter of the cozy diner, the flickering neon sign casting a soft glow on her tired face. With just $2 left to her name, a tightening knot of anxiety twisted in her stomach. Her grandmother, who had always been her rock, depended on her for everything: meals, bills, and comfort. The weight of responsibility pressed down on her shoulders, and all her dreams of becoming an artist felt increasingly out of reach. She was proud of her hard work and dedication, yet the burden was beginning to crack her spirit, leaving her feeling like a ghost in her own life. "Come on, Em. You can't just keep talking to your customers like they're invisible," her friends teased, laughter bubbling around her like a joyful melody. They issued dares, and something reckless pushed her towards accepting one, a bet to strike a conversation with the next customer. It was far from her usual behavior, yet the impulse was intoxicating. Maybe it was the teasing, or perhaps just the need for a distraction from her dreary thoughts. As the door swung open, Emma's heart raced. Jack stepped inside, shaking off the chill of the night. He was the charming guy she had brushed off back in college, always bursting with enthusiasm, always dreaming too big for her sensibilities. Oh no, she thought, forcing herself to smile as he approached. Did she really want to do this? "Hey, Emma," he greeted warmly, his easy smile tugging at something deep inside her. Despite her initial hesitation, she felt herself engaging, their conversation flowing effortlessly. Jack recounted tales of his adventures and entrepreneurial endeavors, each word igniting a spark in Emma, reminding her of the creativity buried beneath her responsibilities. The warmth of his presence made her feel alive, and for the first time in ages, the burden of her day-to-day worries temporarily lifted. Before she knew it, they were laughing, sharing stories as the diner filled with life. Emma's thoughts drifted to the sketches she hadn't made in years, dreams she had shelved indefinitely. But as the conversation deepened, doubts mingled with her growing affection for Jack. He seemed so relatable, yet the remnants of their college days lingered. Had she miscalculated the depth of his ambition? As Jack left, her heart fluttered with confusion, and exhilaration collided with doubt. Was Jack really the person she remembered, or had her memories reshaped him? Before she could dwell too long, a news article flashed across her phone, Jack's name emblazoned as a tech entrepreneur, a fortune at his fingertips. Betrayal prickled through her gut. Panic surged. Did he see her as a charity case, someone to rescue out of pity? The neon lights of the diner flickered ominously as she kept glancing back at the door, waiting for the next blow to land. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." As tensions mounted, a storm brewed in the community. A local factory faced closure. Overwhelmed, she felt responsible not just for her grandmother, but also for her friends, and now her emotions around Jack complicated everything. Was he different now, or was he hiding behind a mask of decency? The tightness in her chest constricted, thoughts spiraling out of control. As Jack's genuine dedication showed through, Emma grappled with her own sense of worth and her past decisions. Could she trust him? Could she trust herself? Waves of hope and fear battled within her as Jack dove into aiding their ailing town, embodying a selflessness she had never known. Emma simmered with frustration. He was the embodiment of her longing for more, yet the barriers between them felt insurmountable. Amid shifting emotions, her artistic aspirations grew louder, whispering promises of a brighter future. But would acceptance of Jack's generosity compromise her ideals, her sense of self? In the throes of uncertainty, Emma stood at a crossroads, awareness dawning that navigating love might shatter everything she thought she knew. Emma's hands trembled slightly as she wiped the counter, the repetitive motion grounding her amidst the chaos in her mind. The bright moonlight streamed through the diner windows, but all she felt was shadow. The warmth of Jack's presence lingered, tickling her thoughts at odd moments as she relived their conversation. Yet, with every replay came an undercurrent of uncertainty, tugging at her like an anchor, dragging her deeper into the ocean of her insecurities. The sensation of betrayal filled her. Jack had shot past her expectations while she remained mired in her struggle. She chided herself. She was not competing against him, but every instinct screamed at her to hide from the truth. That he could rise to extraordinary heights, while she felt firmly stuck in the mundane. Certainly, a chat with him was no cure for the existential dread creeping into her life. When she closed the diner that night, adrenaline had simmered into a low hum. She considered her sketches left untouched at home, once the promise of a budding artist. They now felt like remnants of a past life. Unfinished and unloved, much like the artist herself. Laying in bed, the shadows danced on the walls, echoing her unresolved thoughts. Making sense of her day felt impossible, with Jack becoming a phantom of what-ifs that haunted her. The sound of her grandmother's soft breathing beside her offered a stark reminder of her responsibilities. Emma propped herself on her elbow, watching the steady rise and fall of her grandmother's chest. As she considered the weight on her shoulders, thoughts began to solidify into questions. Was the path she had chosen truly the only one available? Or was she merely allowing fear to dictate her reality? The first light of day revealed a chance, an opportunity to breathe anew. Emma gathered her resolve and made a decision. If she wanted to reclaim her dreams, she needed a plan. Maybe she had brushed off Jack when he had first shown interest, but he was not the only one with potential. If he could rise from humble beginnings, so could she. She began the day with a fresh perspective, her phone buzzing incessantly with notifications as she made her morning coffee. She opened her social media accounts, only to find a flurry of messages from people referencing Jack's recent projects and initiatives. Each post dripped with admiration and excitement, presenting him as a hero. Perhaps they were right, but that didn't mean she had to remain stagnant in the shadows of his success. Scrolling through the screen, Emma's fears morphed into fuel. A page dedicated to her local artist community caught her eye, and a spark ignited with each glance over the vibrant artwork shared there. She hadn't painted in ages, but this was the moment of reckoning. It was time to reclaim her identity, to give her creativity a voice once more. With a sense of purpose, Emma pledged to submit her art to the collective. She allowed herself to think beyond the confines of the diner. There was a fair coming up and perhaps she could showcase something. As self-doubt whispered in her ear, she pushed it aside. Now was the time for action, not hesitation. She ventured to Jack's office later that day, heart racing at the thought of reaching out. The closer she got, the more fragmented her thoughts were. Did she really want to face him? But she shook off the nerves. This meeting would not be about Jack. It was about her. She wanted him to see her craft and all. As she approached the entrance, panic clawed at her mind, the doors looming like a threshold to the unknown. When she caught a glimpse of him through the glass, his figure animated and engaged in conversation, she hesitated. The moment of truth stood before her, whispering promises of transformation. The time had come to face her past and her potential for the future. Would Emma walk away again? Or would she finally take the leap into the unknown? Something inside her urged her to push forward, to step into the light, but uncertainty held her back for just a heartbeat longer. Emma's breath caught in her throat as she stood before the sleek glass doors. The world inside felt vibrant, saturated with potential, yet she remained rooted in hesitation. This was about more than just Jack. It was about her identity, her thwarted ambitions. As she cracked the door open, the warm din of activity enveloped her, but her mind buzzed with self-doubt. His laughter, rich and inviting, resonated from across the room as he engaged with colleagues, their faces lit with admiration. Time seemed to elongate. She remained half in, half out until his gaze met hers. Jack paused, confusion flickering across his features. For a moment, the chatter around them faded into insignificance. "Emma?" he proclaimed, surprise coloring his voice. She froze, the air thick with the weight of unspoken words. "Hey Jack," she managed, her voice steadier than she felt. The transition from spectating to participating was daunting. "Can we talk?" He stepped away from the circle of laughter, curiosity shifting into concern. It was a simple inquiry, yet it felt like she offered a piece of her soul. "Of course. Is everything all right?" His tone held an earnestness that momentarily disarmed her. "Yeah, just can we go somewhere private?" They slipped into a quieter corner of the office, the scent of fresh coffee drifting between them. Emma's heart raced as she struggled to articulate the storm within. This was her chance to reshape her image, to redefine the narrative she had spun around her. I've been thinking a lot about my art, she began tentatively. Jack's gaze sharpened. Your drawings? I remember seeing some of them. You have talent, Emma. You should be doing something with that. His words pricked at her, igniting the embers of her long-lost confidence. I want to. I really want to, but I've let fear take over. I'm always so focused on what's practical, working in the diner, paying bills. But I see you now and wait, he interrupted, his brow furrowing. Is that why you've been distant? You think you have to stay in a box that someone else created? You don't understand, she replied, the frustration rising within her. I can't just chase after dreams. Why not? Jack leaned forward, intensity in his gaze. What is stopping you? You can do both. Your art and your responsibilities aren't mutually exclusive. She hesitated, the reality of his words pressing in on her. I thought you'd see things differently. Successful. Everything I'm not. A flicker of annoyance crossed his face. Success doesn't have a single model, Emma. I started where you are, and I had to fight against every no I heard. Don't let anyone else's timeline dictate your worth. For the first time, Emma felt the walls she had built begin to crumble. What if I fail? What if I show my art and nobody reacts? Jack's response was immediate, his voice dropping to a softer tone. And what if they love it? What if it sets you on a path you can't even imagine right now? Desire washed over her, a longing to escape the confines of her current existence and step into unfamiliar territory. I want to try, she confessed, vulnerability cutting through the veneer she had worn for too long. I just don't know where to start. He smiled, confidence lighting his features. Start by submitting something for the fair. If you want, I can help. I can put you in touch with some connections that can guide you. You won't be alone in this. Emma's heart soared, a blend of exhilaration and fear coursing through her. The prospect of sharing her art felt both liberating and daunting, but with it came a flicker of hope, and perhaps a chance to transform years of doubt into a tangible reality. Yet as she stepped closer to embracing this new journey, another thought snaked through. Was she ready to take the leap into something greater than she'd ever known? The very moment she knew she had to answer was overshadowed as the office door swung open, revealing another colleague whose presence shattered the intimacy of their exchange. Jack's eyes shifted, and the moment of clarity threatened to slip away. Hey Emma, I didn't know you were here, the newcomer chirped. Apprehension filled the air, a reminder that each loss of focus could cost her the very growth she was chasing. As Jack turned back toward his colleague, Emma felt a pang of urgency. She needed to act, to seize this crossroads while there was still time. Her next move loomed on the horizon, but what direction would she choose? With Jack engaged elsewhere, Emma wrestled with her thoughts, feeling the weight of decisions pressing down. The moment hung in delicate balance, but her determination blossomed anew. Could she really harness this opportunity, or would she retreat to safety once more? The decision was hers to make, but the clock was ticking, and her moment of enlightenment could slip away if she didn't act soon. Would she find the courage to carve her own path, or would she allow fear to rewrite her story yet again? As the bustling energy of the office enveloped her once more, Emma's thoughts whirred, churning with the fresh possibilities Jack had ignited. A flicker of excitement teased at her, yet self-doubt coiled tightly around her heart. What was stopping her? Transitioning from the shadows into the spotlight felt insurmountable. She had spent years cultivating a safer existence, bound by practicality, a comforting prison. Jack's presence had elucidated a path she hadn't considered in years. It wasn't just about making art. It was about reclaiming a piece of her identity, one she thought lost to day-to-day survival. Yet with every possible thought of crafting, there lay another voice warning her of inevitable failure. Emma's focus sharpened as she walked away from her conversation with Jack. Utilitarian patterns of work and struggle whispered cruelly in her ear, nudging her towards the familiar ache of resignation. Should she simply slip back into the ordinary, comfortable chaos of the diner? It was certain, predictable, but that certainty felt increasingly suffocating. The initial rush from her discussion with Jack ebbed as her feet wandered toward a nearby empty conference room. The door creaked as she pushed it open and stepped inside. The muted colors of the sterile space contrasted sharply with the vivid hues swirling in her mind. She slid into one of the empty chairs, breathing deeply. "Why am I still here?" she muttered, staring at the walls lined with bland artwork, the very art she resisted contributing to. Each frame unconsciously taunted her, pushing her deeper into contemplation about the artist she could be. Her fingers fluttered over her phone, dancing over the art applications she had downloaded over the years. They lay dormant, each a testament to a dream she'd tucked away, fearing ridicule. Just then, another pang of apprehension struck. What if Jack was right? What if stepping into the light meant a glorious rebirth, a rediscovery of herself? She hesitated for a moment, teetering on the edge of decision. She needed help, direction, support. She had to break this cycle of isolation. With a newfound sense of urgency, she navigated to a messaging app and typed a simple message to Jack. "Can I really submit something? I'm scared, but I think I want to." Her finger hovered over the send button, an electric thrill coursing through her veins. The moment felt monumental, each heartbeat echoing like a countdown to a pivotal life change. Would courage materialize in the send? Hesitation plagued her. What if he didn't reply? What if he dismissed her aspirations again, leaving her to wither in silence? Gathering her resolve, Emma pulled the trigger, sending the message sailing into uncertainty. Moments later, a response blinked onto her screen. "You absolutely can. Let's meet and brainstorm your submission. I believe in you." A mix of relief and excitement surged through her. Here was the support she hadn't even realized she desperately needed. A lifeline tethered to the future she dared to envision. Yet her mind swirled with impending decisions: what to create, how to pour her soul into her work, how to digest the fears that had plagued her for so long. As thoughts cascaded, the office door swung open and another colleague entered. Emma's heart raced, feeling exposed. She scrambled for composure, feeling as if the very air had changed, now saturated with possibilities and risks alike. But why was she letting the presence of others shackle her resolve? Moving to assert her autonomy, she clenched her fists on the table, her reflection in the glass revealing a flicker of fire igniting within. And that moment, she made an internal vow. The trembling chaos of doubt would no longer lead her. The path forward was murky, yet exhilaratingly hers to explore. But facing those fears meant braving the unknown. What would this creative endeavor ask of her? Would she confront her truest self or shy away again? The journey promised neither clarity nor comfort, just the raw challenge of creation. The sound of her phone vibrating jolted her from contemplation as a group of voices approached the conference room. "Emma?" Jack's voice cut through, pulling her back to the present, forcing her heart into the fray once more. Her next move weighed heavily on her. Would she step up, boldly forging her narrative, or relinquish her moment in potentially life-altering shadows? In that instant, the tension in her gut pulsed, resonating with the knowledge that she had a choice to make, and the multitude of emotions bubbled to the surface, her mind already racing to craft a story born of strength and vulnerability. As the door swung wider, and their eyes met across the crowded threshold, Emma felt the weight of her decision pressing toward a breaking point. Could she really embrace this new chapter of her life? Or would she allow familiarity to pull her back into oblivion? With every beat of her heart, one question loomed larger. What was she willing to sacrifice for the chance to be alive in her own narrative? Emma took a deep breath, preparing to step into the light. The fluorescent office buzzed with energy, but in Jack's presence, she felt a spark of something deeper. It was genuine, untamed, and she wanted it. As they exchanged initial pleasantries, a palpable shift occurred, like a stage being set for the first act of a grand narrative. "So, how do you want to start?" Jack asked, leaning toward her, his expression open and encouraging. She cleared her throat, fighting the anxiety clawing at her insides. I have ideas. A lot of ideas," she stammered, but the words seemed inadequate. How could she possibly articulate the cascade of emotions and images swirling in her mind? "Let us get them out," he urged, gesturing to the whiteboard on the far wall. The invitation hung in the air, teasing the boundaries of her comfort zone. Emma hesitated for a moment, tracing her fingers across the smooth surface of her phone. She couldn't just sit back and let fear dictate her. She needed to act. Taking a step forward, she moved toward the board. "Okay, what if I started with something personal? Maybe exploring all the emotions tied to memories in this office? With each word, she felt the energy shift within her. This was the shift she had craved. Jack nodded, his eyes lighting up as he scribbled down her thoughts. That's fantastic. What about using mixed media? Photographs, textures, something that brings those emotions to life. Her pulse quickened, excitement intertwining with her nervousness. Mixed media, she echoed, weighing the possibility. I've never done that before. The idea sparked an elegant thrill inside her, a combination of fear and exhilaration. Emma paused, struck by how something so daunting felt surprisingly invigorating. This wasn't merely about submitting art. This was about reclaiming her narrative, her reality. What if I explored the theme of solitude within creativity? I could represent my journey through isolation. Jack's enthusiastic nod propelled her forward. That's a powerful angle. It resonates with so many people. You could even include written reflections with each piece, personal snippets of your thoughts. The very idea stirred something within her, a rush of warmth mingled with resolve. She could layer her past into this canvas, explore the complexity of who she was, and distill her journey into a collection that was entirely, unequivocally Emma. As she painted her words upon the board, fragmenting her fears into manageable ideas, the trembling core of self-doubt began to dissolve. Jack's firm gaze fueled her determination. She saw in him not just a supporter, but a catalyst for her transformation. But the flame of inspiration ignited new questions. Would the piece be enough? Was she equipped with the skill to bring her vision to fruition? The self-doubt wasn't entirely diminished, lurking silently on the periphery, but it felt manageable under the light of Jack's unwavering belief in her. After an exhilarating brainstorming session, Emma and Jack settled on a timeline for her first submission. The day she had envisioned for years was finally within reach. However, the road ahead was steep, a climb toward uncharted territory, each step accompanied by echoes of fear. As they reviewed the next steps, Emma couldn't shake the thought. What if she didn't meet those expectations, even her own? Was she tempting fate, daring to stretch beyond the self-imposed shackles? Jack turned to her, sensing the shadows creeping back into her mind. You have to remember, this isn't just about the submission. It's about your growth. Allow yourself to experiment, to embrace the unexpected. Embrace the unexpected, she murmured, the phrase reverberating through her mind. Embracing meant confronting not just the art, but herself, taking that bold leap she had avoided for far too long. As they wrapped up their session, Emma felt a magnetism between her aspirations and her fears, each force neither fully conquering the other. The moment was pivotal. She stood on the brink of a new narrative, sculpting her future with every brushstroke. Walking out of the office, she felt different. The air was thicker with hope, yet the pull of resistance was equally present, urging her to retreat to the safety she had known. But she couldn't go back, not when the horizon of her potential lay tantalizingly close. Emma pondered her first project, aware that the canvas was still blank, waiting for her mark. She had a choice, to fill it with voices of doubt or colors of revelation. But as her thoughts spun, a text notification flashed across her screen, an unexpected message from a figure from her past. The familiar name sparked curiosity and anxiety in equal measure. She couldn't help but wonder, was this just another distraction, or a significant turning point in her journey to reclaim her identity? What lay ahead would undoubtedly test her resolve and challenge everything she thought she knew about herself. Emma stared at her phone, the name on the screen taunting her like a whisper from the past. Ben. Memories flooded back, laughter mingled with regret, a time when she had chosen practicality over passion. He had been the vibrant spark to her quiet existence, the one who had pushed her to explore her visual art, only to step back, consumed by her own doubts. Biting her lip, she hesitated. Would responding to him derail the momentum she had built with Jack? But that unnerving pang of curiosity nagged at her. Perhaps this constricted path she had walked for so long needed an unexpected twist. Hey, can we talk? She typed, heart racing. The act felt simultaneously mundane and life-altering. Stepping into her apartment, she began to pace. The familiar surroundings felt like a cage now, each wall echoing years of self-restraint. Her hands brushed over supplies scattered across her workspace, thoughts brimming around the art she was about to create. This potential submission was more than just artistic. It was personal and unveiling of who she had been and what she could be. And yet, the impending conversation with Ben stirred an unsettling mix of excitement and dread. Ben's reply came quicker than expected. A simple sure. Moments stretched as she analyzed every implication of the phrase. What could he want? She needed to focus on her art, on expressing the tangled emotions that had shaped her. As she sat down to sketch, bristles of fear coiled tightly in her stomach. The white canvas beckoned to her, yet her mind drifted back to Ben. How had her life taken such a turn? Her choices had all led her to this precipice of an uncertain future. The urge to create clashed violently with the compelling urge to understand the past, leading her to wonder if resolving her unresolved feelings for Ben would further entangle her in the web of confusions. Hours passed, her sketches morphing from one idea to another, each brushstroke a cathartic release. Ideas of solitude seeped into the paper, shadows at play with light, colors reflecting every tumultuous feeling lurking beneath her surface. This was the essence of her journey. It was her exploration of isolation, creativity, and resilience. Yet, as much as she poured herself onto the canvas, thoughts of that impending talk gnawed at her. Attempting to navigate these feelings, she took a break, closing her eyes and breathing deeply. What did she truly want? To embrace the potential that awaited her, or to linger in the allure of familiarity? The phone vibrated, jolting her from her reverie. "Can I come by?" The message from Ben read, sending a fresh jolt of anxiety through her. She replied quickly, "Sure, I'm home," hoping the ease of her response would mask the whirlwind of emotion hidden beneath. When he arrived, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Ben entered with an air of confidence that immediately reminded her of why she had once found comfort in his presence. The old familiarity sent a shiver of vulnerability down her spine. "Hey," he said, his voice steady, but she noticed a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "Hi," she managed, her mind racing. He took a moment, scanning her artwork spread across the room, absorbing her journey laid bare. "I saw your name on the event flyer. It looks incredible, Emma," he remarked. His genuine admiration sparked something. Was it pride or relief? "Thanks, I've been working hard," she admitted, feeling the desire to impress him, yet internally battling the weight of emotions. There was a pause, an electric silence bridged only by the physical space separating them. "I wanted to see how you're doing," he finally said, hesitating slightly. After everything that happened, his words struck a chord, awakening unresolved feelings deep within her. The question hung heavy in the air. Should she confront her past choices with him tonight, or would it jeopardize her newfound journey? A rush of adrenaline surged through her veins, forcing her to confront the essence of their history. Perhaps tonight wasn't about closure. Perhaps it was about understanding, weighing the cost of each choice they had made. "Can we talk about it?" she said, a strange mix of challenge and invitation in her voice. As he settled in, she recognized the road she was about to tread was laden with uncertainty. Their conversation could very well open floodgates of emotion that had lain dormant, giving way not only to a deeper understanding of her past but potentially reshaping her future. What she had long considered as insurmountable would soon face scrutiny. Emma felt the pulse of a new chapter beginning, one that would demand her full attention, the intertwining threads of her identity pulling her into the unknown. What revelations would come through this conversation with Ben? Would she find clarity or simply plunge deeper into the chaos of her emotions? The silence hung thick between them as Ben settled into the chair across from her. Emma felt her breath catch in her throat, aware of the weight of each unsaid word. Memory swirled in her mind, a montage of shared laughter, hopes and dreams, but also the sting of goodbyes and decisions made too quickly. "So, how have you really been, Emma?" Ben's tone was gentle yet probing. Emma sensed the unspoken expectations woven into the question. The pressure to measure her growth against their shared past loomed in the air. "I've been better," she said, forcing a smile that felt fragile, almost like porcelain. Diving deeper into my art, trying to express more than just the surface." Ben nodded, his eyes narrowing slightly as he considered her words. "I saw that in your work. It's amazing. You seem freer." The compliment stirred something inside her. Did he truly understand? Or was he merely looking at the surface, deceived by the bright colors splashing across her canvases? "Freer," she echoed. That's one way to put it. But it's more complicated than that. Complicated. The words slipped from her tongue with a certain taste of bitterness. Each brushstroke on her canvas was riddled with complexity, woven with the strings of her realities, choices, and longings. She now had to face that complexity not just in her art but in this moment with him. "What do you mean?" he asked, leaning forward, his expression earnest. Emma hesitated, weighing how much to reveal. What would it mean for her growth if she laid her vulnerabilities bare? "I guess I thought that transferring my doubts and frustrations to the canvas would be enough," she admitted slowly, her voice wobbly, "but it isn't." "You mean?" he prompted, clearly grappling with understanding if she truly meant it. "It's not just about the art. It's about being honest with myself, with my past. I have to confront what I've run away from," she disclosed, her pulse quickening. "And that includes you." The intensity in Ben's gaze urged her forward. "What about me?" The air throbbed with an electric tension as she processed her thoughts. "I thought moving on would mean forgetting, but I'm realizing now that I've just buried it. I never really dealt with what we had or why it crumbled. I chose safety over passion, did you know that?" Ben's brow furrowed slightly as if he was trying to reconcile the Emma in front of him with the memories etched in his mind. "You went after what you wanted, Emma. I was the one who said I didn't want you to compromise. I pushed you toward your art, remember? Yeah, but I never followed through. I backed down. I let fear dictate my choices." Her voice firmed, growing steady in this revelation. "Maybe I've been waiting for a second chance. Not just with you but with everything I've avoided." A flicker of realization passed over Ben's face. So he hesitated, searching for the right words. "Is this about us or about you finally embracing your true self?" "Both," she confessed, carving out the space for vulnerability. "I want to understand if I can release the fears that have haunted me with, or without you. Our relationship was a part of who I became, but it shouldn't define me. I need to reclaim my narrative." Silence enveloped them again. But this time it felt different, less charged and more contemplative. Emma could sense an unspoken agreement forming in the air, a fragile connecting thread binding them in this shared understanding. "Then let us not rush it," Ben finally said softly, his voice steady but cautious. "Let us take it one step at a time, wherever that leads. I want to see you fully embrace this." The conversation steered toward an unfamiliar shape, a pathway unleashing emotional possibilities she had stifled. Emma felt emboldened, a quiet resolve blooming within her. But as the conversation flowed, a lingering question persisted in the back of her mind. Was she truly ready to rediscuss their past? Emma's heart raced with possibilities of reconnection, or deeper distancing. Learning to peel the layers of her own negligence toward herself was only the first step. What revelations awaited her in this intricate labyrinth of emotions? Can we still be us, whatever that means? She finally ventured, her tone wavering between hope and apprehension. Ben's eyes softened. "We'll figure it out together, one step at a time." The conversation had taken a turn, and as they navigated through their reflections, Emma felt a burgeoning sense of clarity. She was no longer trapped in nostalgia. She was invested in the act of finding herself again, amidst the ruins of their shared history. But beneath the reassurance, darkness lay coiled, waiting to unveil itself. Their complicated past loomed like a storm cloud on the horizon. Could she confront the shadows that lingered from their shared history? Would old wounds reopen in the process? The answers were murky. Yet the urgency to discover them tangled within her desire to reshape her identity was inextricable. The story was far from over. The sun had begun its descent, casting golden streaks through the gallery windows, illuminating the vibrant canvases around Emma. Each stroke of color reflected not just her artistic expression, but her tumultuous journey within. The conversation with Ben had unearthed a tangled web of emotions. She felt both drawn and repelled by the revelations that spilled forth. For the first time in years, Emma wasn't just viewing her life from the sidelines. She was stepping into the chaos, daring to embrace whatever awaited her. As she cleaned up after the day's small exhibition, Emma's thoughts spiraled back to the unresolved feelings from her conversation with Ben. It seemed odd to grapple with the implications of their past at such a precipice of self-discovery. What if confronting the shadows meant unearthing regrets she was better off burying? Her phone buzzed, breaking her reverie. A message from her art mentor Maya flashed on the screen. "Want to discuss your latest work? I see something brewing." Emma hesitated, then quickly typed back, "Absolutely. Maybe some guidance could provide clarity as she navigated these uncertain waters. When she arrived at Maya's studio, the air was thick with the aroma of oil paints and creativity. Maya, with her fiery red hair and infectious laughter, embodied the vibrant energy Emma sought to cultivate within herself. As they settled into an inviting nook of the studio, Maya leaned back, eyes glinting with curiosity. "So, what's this about you finally digging deeper in your art?" Maya asked, noting the slight instability in Emma's gaze. Emma took a breath, steadied by her mentor's genuine interest. "Feels like I've spent so long painting over my fears. Lately, I've been trying to strip away those layers and confront everything I've avoided. It's terrifying." Maya smiled knowingly. Terrifying often leads to the most transformative results. "Would you say that unveiling your truth through your art is a way of reclaiming your life?" Sparks ignited within her with that simple question. "Yes, think so. I'm trying to learn to be honest, not just on the canvas but with myself. I realized I've hidden for too long, thinking it would make things easier." "Maybe," Maya said softly, "it's time to paint the dark alongside the light. Show all sides of yourself, not just the picturesque ones. That's where the connection lies." Emma allowed the words to resonate. Wasn't that what she had always shied away from? The complex interplay of joy and pain, love and loss, had colored her life even more vividly than any hue she could apply to canvas. Perhaps it was time to brave the unsettling feelings that had loomed over her as they discussed her work. An idea sparked a new series that would embrace vulnerability, including the raw truths of her encounters with Ben. The thought thrilled her. Each piece would wrestle with moments of insecurity, nostalgia, and hope. With newfound energy, Emma thanked Maya and left the studio. The evening air felt fresh against her skin, invigorating her spirit. Yet the shadows of the past lingered, often surfacing at the corner of her thoughts. That night, as she picked up her brushes, she felt the looming presence of her unresolved feelings toward Ben. Was he her past or a potential future? The boundaries she wished to redefine felt both exhilarating and daunting. Could she really navigate her own healing intertwined with something that had once caused her pain? As she applied paint to canvas, she lost herself in the process, each stroke a release, each color a declaration. But even amidst the chaotic beauty of her new work, doubt hovered like a heavy mist. What if in this pursuit of truth, she unleashed a tide of emotions that would drown her? Perhaps embracing the past wasn't just a means to enhance her art, it was a gamble with her heart. Before she could finish the last stroke, a soft knock rapped against her studio door. Caught off guard, she turned, her heart racing. Was it Ben? The narrative she was starting to weave was one of bravery and honesty, yet the lingering question remained. Would she confront him and explore the feelings they hadn't addressed, or would she retreat, fearing the inevitable storm that might follow? Emma stood frozen in anticipation, the air thick with what-ifs. The moment had come for another choice, to embrace the opportunity or to guard her heart once more. Emma took a deep breath, the air in her studio swelling with suspense. The gentle knock echoed in her mind, a melodious chime that flared her curiosity and apprehension. Instinctively she hesitated, uncertainty gnawing at her resolve. Why now? The knock became a pulse, matching the quickening beat of her heart as she walked to the door, her mind racing with questions. With a swift motion, she swung the door open to find Ben standing there, the dim light glinting off the familiar contours of his face. He looked as though he'd just stepped off a canvas, conflicted yet achingly beautiful. The moment felt electric. Every unspoken word hung between them, daring to shatter the stillness. "Hey," he said, his voice tentative, almost an invitation. "I thought I might find you here." "Hi," Emma replied, her voice catching slightly. She stepped aside, allowing him into the sanctuary that had become both sanctuary and battleground for her thoughts. Silence draped itself heavily around them, broken only by the soft sound of paintbrushes against the floorboards. Emma felt the weight of their past, what had been left unsaid, the layers of history between them. "What brings you here?" she finally managed to ask, her tone a careful blend of curiosity and caution. "I needed to see you," he admitted, his gaze searching hers. "After our conversation, I couldn't shake this feeling that there's so much more we need to discuss." Emma urged herself to breathe deeply, centering her thoughts amidst the turbulence brewing inside. She had spent hours contemplating their last conversation, mulling over the essence of vulnerability and transparency. To confront him meant to delve deeper into her own fears, to penetrate the core of those unresolved feelings lurking at the edges of her heart. As they settled onto the worn couch in her studio, Emma's eyes flickered to her nearly completed painting resting on the easel, its hues entangled in the raw emotions she had long avoided. It was a reflection of her own chaos, a fusion of longing and trepidation. "Your work has changed," Ben observed, his eyes tracing the wild strokes and emotional landscapes woven into the canvas. "It feels so real, like you're pouring your soul into it." "That's the point," she replied, her voice steadying with a sudden surge of confidence. "I'm learning to expose myself, to embrace all the parts of me that I've concealed. Even the parts you felt were lost?" he pressed, his brow furrowing with concern. "Especially those," Emma replied, emboldened by the moment. "I'm tired of holding back, pretending like I have everything figured out. I was lost before I began this journey, and I don't want to keep anything buried that could help me grow." Ben's expression softened, the uncertainty on his face making way for something gentler. "I felt lost too, Emma. I think we've both been running from our feelings, avoiding the mistakes we think define us." The truth in his words washed over her like a tidal wave, pulling at her heartstrings. Could it be possible that he too yearned for the same confrontation? Then why did we stop talking? Why did we let fear dictate our actions? "Maybe fear was the only place we felt safe," he said, vulnerability softening his stance. "But it's exhausting, isn't it?" Emma recognized the sincerity in his voice. It resonated with the deepest parts of her own heart. They were both standing at the precipice of something extraordinary. It was a chance to rewrite their narrative, to revisit the truths that had once divided them. "What if we chose to confront that fear together?" she suggested, her heart racing at the possibilities. "Together," he echoed, a cautious smile creeping onto his lips as they spoke. Emma felt the boundaries that had restrained her begin to crumble. Each word was a brushstroke on her canvas of hope, each revelation a splash of unexpected color. The concept of sharing her fears and confronting the past together transformed apprehension into resolve. Yet just as the momentum surged, another question loomed in the back of her mind, draping itself over her newfound courage. Could they truly navigate the intricacies of their emotions without losing themselves again? Ben's expression shifted, indicating that he understood the depth of her contemplation. The tension between them coiled with potential, yet uncertainties flickered in her thoughts. Would this be a moment of rebirth or another spiral into familiar chaos? Emma found herself holding her breath, not just waiting for an answer but daring to embrace the unpredictable journey ahead. As they sat in the quiet hum of her studio, where art and emotions intertwined, she pondered the obstacles yet to come. "Then let's take those first steps," Ben suggested gently. "But can we promise to be honest with each other?" Emma nodded, her resolve crystallizing. "Together we'll face whatever comes next," she vowed, uncertainty mixing with newfound determination. Yet, a more profound question lingered in her thoughts. Were they prepared for the truth that lay beneath the layers of their past? Just as she felt the ground beneath her stabilize, her phone buzzed with a new message, an unexpected flash of distraction that broke the moment. Emma glanced at the screen, her heart stirring as she read the words. The message held the potential to disrupt everything. The jagged path of her unfolding story was about to take another unexpected turn. Would she be able to balance her budding relationship with Ben and the tumultuous reverberations of her past? Emma stood quietly in her studio, allowing a moment of calm to wash over her like a warm breeze. It had been weeks since she had taken the leap to reclaim her artistic voice, and each brushstroke had become a testament to her commitment not just to art, but to herself. The lingering conversations with Ben and Jack had unshackled her from the echoes of self-doubt. There was something profound in the realization that her evolution wasn't just about artistry, it was a transformation of her very essence. Since their last conversation, Emma had dived deep into her art, creating pieces that brazenly explored layers of vulnerability, isolation, and self-discovery. Each piece was a visual narrative, a way of confronting the tangled emotions she had kept hidden and, more importantly, a cathartic means to connect with the truth of who she was. At the exhibition showcasing her new collection, she felt an unfamiliar thrill, a dawning confidence that she had never truly owned before. As she prepared for the opening, she reveled in the assortment of emotions flooding through her. Here was a tangible representation of her journey, a blend of beautiful chaos painted with striking colors and raw, gnarled lines. The space was alive, adorned with not just her pieces, but with her spirit. Jack arrived, greeting her with that unmistakable charm. "You've transformed this space, Emma. It feels vibrant, alive. Your voice echoes through every piece," he declared, wearing a proud smile that tugged at her heartstrings. Emma's cheeks flushed with satisfaction. "Thank you, Jack. I wanted to depict the complexity of emotion, how creativity is often born from chaos. Do you think you could have done this without confronting your past?" He probed, genuine curiosity in his eyes. "I don't think I could," she replied thoughtfully. "Facing those shadows has illuminated so much for me. I'm finally free to embrace my journey, and that includes being honest about my struggles." In that moment, amidst the hustle of the opening, Emma recognized the significance of the ground she had gained. She had transformed her insecurities into artistic expression, an evolution brought about through both external support and internal strength. The evening unfolded seamlessly. Visitors marveled at her work, and many were deeply moved by the narrative behind each piece. Emma felt an exhilarating delight as they connected with her art, sensing how they resonated with her journey towards authenticity. The thrill of exposure mingled harmoniously with pride. After hours of engaging conversations, Emma found herself reflecting on how far she had come, no longer the girl consumed with fear, but a woman unabashedly stepping into her identity. She turned to Jack, who approached, excitedly holding a glass of sparkling cider. "I just had a chat with a local gallery owner. He loved your work and wants to discuss showcasing it regularly." Stunned, Emma's breath hitched in her throat. Recognition wasn't just a dream. It was actualizing. A chance to elevate her art, to reach an audience she never thought possible. "I don't know what to say. This is beyond incredible," she managed to respond, a wave of gratitude washing over her. "You've earned it, Emma. You proved to yourself that fear isn't a wall. It's just a challenge to be navigated. You're not defined by your setbacks, you've conquered them." Pride swelled within Emma, a new awareness dawning over her heart. She had not only found her voice but also recognized the profound changes within her. The layers of her past had not diminished her. They had empowered her narrative, woven through her artistry. Later that evening, as the gallery hummed with laughter and applause, Emma spotted Ben across the room, engaged in conversation with one of her guests. A flutter of anxiety gripped her heart. They had yet to fully explore what lay between them. Gathering her courage, she approached. "Hey," she began softly, locking eyes with him. "I'm really glad you made it tonight." His expression was warm, a reassuring smile gracing his lips. "How could I miss this? Your work is incredible, Emma. You truly poured your heart into it. Thank you. I owe a lot of this to our previous conversation. I realized I needed to take chances and embrace the unknown," she admitted, feeling a rush of vulnerability. Ben's gaze turned serious, as if probing deeper into her heart. "I'm proud of you, proud of what you've become. Our past is a part of us, but it doesn't dictate our future, right?" "Exactly," she affirmed, feeling a surge of sincerity. "Do you think we could also navigate this between us?" he asked, hesitating slightly. Emma breathed deeply. The echoes of their past lingered, but so did the promise of moving forward. "I think we can," she replied firmly. "I want to face it all together. It's time we openly explore all the shades of this connection." A relief that warmed everything between them flooded her. Emma stepped closer, feeling the weight of possibilities unfolding. They stood entwined in a moment of renewal, not bound by chains of their history, but equipped with the courage to embrace what lay ahead. The night stretched on, laughter spilling into the air, along with the vibrant threads of her rebirth sewn seamlessly into each brushstroke. Emma had not only achieved a professional milestone, she had conquered personal fears, nurtured both her artistry and relationships, and had the chance to redefine herself. As lights twinkled overhead, there was no doubt she was finally living her truth. This was not just the end of one story. It was the beginning of countless narratives yet to unfold, all crafted by her own hand. Emma felt whole, recognized, and fulfilled, ready to step into whatever came next. Now is the moment to join in. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support truly makes a difference. Comment your reactions and theories about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the value of supporting the channel through these actions.